5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 234 of the TTV Podcast.
Mardi
I'm
Gras.
Meso.
I'm Barteran.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Ben.
I'm Takuma Nuva.
I'm Prpl.
I'm Tenebrae Victus.
Hi, BXX Trooper. That's a really early. Hello.
And how's everybody doing?
Alright,
There it was. You know, I was wondering when that one's.
Well,
Wow.
I was thinking about showing people that I know the TTV channel, but definitely not this week.
Nah, dude, people will love it.
Listen, I'm with you, man. Sometimes that's the my whole thing of the Mardi Gras. I'm like, do I actually want people I know?
Man, you guys
because
care
it's so like
way,
it's so weird.
way too much about what people think of you.
I know, right?
I think it's a normal amount to
I
care
really
about
don't.
how the channel looks. I think it's a
Hey guys,
normal
check out
amount.
this YouTube channel I'm on. Mardi Gras!
I showed my English
okay,
class
click.
an episode of this once, and I just thought it was funny. They asked what Mardi Gras was, and I told them I don't know. I don't know. He just yells it
Fat
for some
Tuesday.
reason. You know, we're too
Mardi
far in.
Gras, at least my parades are in about 2 weeks.
Well, I know that.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Are you
Get
gonna?
hyped
man.
for Mardi Gras
Are you-
2017.
Are
It's
you gonna
funny
go,
because
Mark?
like,
To Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
What do you mean am I going to go? It's-
I don't know if that's like a thing people
okay,
go to.
listen,
but
listen.
you yell it
And-
every time.
That's a legitimate question. Are you
X's
gonna
defense.
go to Mardi Gras?
no.
In X's defense, the way we talk about Mardi Gras, you think it was this mythical American holiday, you know? Kind of like the 4th of July, where it's like, yeah, Americans, they always celebrate this one thing called Mardi Gras. I don't know what it is, but they get real excited about it.
Yeah, it's a something.
Yeah.
It's just like a holiday, right? Sometimes there's a parade in your town, maybe.
What even is like the whole thing about Mardi Gras? What do we...
It's Fat Tuesday. It's the day before lunch starts.
It's the day before Lent starts? Yeah, but like, isn't the parade and stuff, doesn't have anything to do with Lent, right? Isn't that
No,
like
it's
a whole...
just-
Well, not anymore. I think it used to.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't now.
Yeah, definitely not. People just go crazy at Mardi Gras parades.
Where's the day where they make the pancakes? Is that also Shrove Tuesday?
Wait, dude,
What?
I like
Pancakes?
pancakes.
Shrove
What?
Tuesday.
Pancakes.
There's
When
It is
did
Shrove
pancakes
Tuesday.
come into this?
There's
Dude,
a day. It does
They make...
exist.
Oh, yeah, you don't listen to the best podcast around. Next
Yeah,
to
I
the
do.
TTV
I listen
podcast.
to TTV.
Next
Dude,
to the TTV
I
podcast,
used to,
the
but
RT
then I
podcast.
became a
We
part
make
of it.
pancakes every Shrove Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
We should do that. Mardi Gras pancakes. If we're ever around in real life, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Around Mardi Gras, we'll do it.
No.
But what if you
We'll
like
do it Shrove
waffles?
Tuesday.
Do you
over
like
pancakes?
waffles? Do you like
Now
pancakes?
this guy That's knows too what he's bad. talking about.
Not like
That's a
either
mistake.
of them.
Okay.
All right, well.
Good to hear.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Yeah, I
input.
suppose before we get too
But
far
you didn't
into
answer if you
today-
liked waffles or pancakes.
I like
Pancakes.
both, man.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Let's do a plug or two. So today, I'd like to advertise our Patreon at patreon.com/TheTTV channel, including all of our regular perks that people should totally go and check out, and also one really cool new perk that we rolled out on last week's episode.
Yeah, plug it
If you
in.
pay $1 or more, you get access to our Discord server, which is old. The new caveat being that you can join in and listen live to live recordings of the podcast behind the scenes.
Did we mention they're
like
live?
the one we're doing right now. And I have to make absolutely clear, it's live. You're gonna live listen
Live,
in.
live,
It's
live.
a live
Yeah.
podcast.
It's
like-
Part of
it's
the
like
live
a s-
audience.
It's like
It's
a
like a
studio
live
audience.
stream, but cooler because it's behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Right, it's
and-
private.
Yeah.
It's like a private behind-the-scenes live stream.
No
And you
more
don't-
that you have to see chat spam and not get your questions
Yeah, now they can
answered
see how
and not
truly
get-
unprofessional we are. It live.
And
Exactly.
you don't have to leave the house. You know, it's great. Everybody wins.
No one ever
you
wants
know?
to leave
Come
their
on in.
house.
What's a house?
I don't know what a
True
house
dat.
is.
I live in
Anyway,
a box.
It's basically that.
I think it's a
Check it out.
specific kind of music.
It is a kind of music,
What
actually.
specific kind of music?
House music.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, house music.
It's the joke's funnier when people laugh.
What the heck?
Is this big, big
get off
I
Larry?
the stage.
refuse to indulge.
I worked too hard for this.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Laughter.
how's the week been treating all of you? Anything interesting happen?
Like a Batman movie
I
came
feel
out.
like
The
interesting
freaking
stuff.
Lego
yeah,
Batman
that.
movie. Of course, interesting stuff has happened.
Saw that last
Yeah, we
night.
already
Invi,
talked
Takuma,
about that.
What did you guys think about the movie?
It was
You two
better
are.
than the Lego movie.
That's some
I
high praise.
On the other hand, I like the Lego
yeah,
movie
I did
more,
not like
honestly.
it better than the Lego movie. It was definitely on par with the Lego movie for me, though.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
I would say I liked it better than the Lego movie.
I think I can agree with Var's sentiment.
I liked
I think-
it. It was alright. You know?
Yeah.
accept it.
To me,
I
What were
watched
your
it
favorite
too.
parts? No one spoiled.
all my favorite parts are spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
Here's
good.
my
like the
favorite
part
part. That's
All
not
my
a
favorite
spoiler.
parts are the things I wasn't expecting. So
Hey guys, who always pays their taxes? Not Batman. It's perfect.
yeah,
Great.
Great, you spoiled the joke. Good
I
job.
liked the
Wow.
pacing of the movie. You never felt bored, you know.
yeah,
Some people say it's
that's
probably
so
too
true.
fast, but it works for the target audience, which is kids. I mean, some adults or like older audiences might seem it's a bit too fast, but then again, you're never bored. But some people said that. Some people actually had the notion that like it was too funny because the thing happens is that a joke appears and then you laugh, and by the time a new joke comes up, you're not done laughing, and that was a complaint. I was like, do you know what you're saying?
Yeah, I know,
How
right?
is that a complaint?
Yeah,
Do you
that was
not
a
like
legitimate
fun?
complaint, and he just didn't understand that's you. You don't sound like you're complaining. You sound like
Well,
you're
I can
crazy.
understand if it was like an annoyance or something, but like a full-out complaint just seems a bit much.
I don't even understand if it's an annoyance. Like, do you just not like having fun?
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
Yeah.
I guess,
not like
yeah,
that.
it's
Some
like
people just want to watch the world burn, man.
there's a ton of jokes coming in all sides, and they're all really funny jokes. And it's the one thing I like about the Lego movies is that like it's almost like a rapid fire nonstop of actual smart jokes, you know. And the Lego movies rarely rely on like potty humor or like overt like inappropriate or like innuendos or anything.
Crude
I don't
and-
think there was ever
anything crude.
an instance of that in the
No.
actual Lego movie. Like
Yeah.
maybe once
No.
in the Lego Batman movie,
It's
but it
more
was so
intelligent.
minor.
There was one time in the Lego Batman movie where I was like,
There was one that
kids
was
are gonna
really
get
funny.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it was well done. The only
Yeah,
joke
it was
I
well
didn't
done.
feel landed was the snake clowns.
I thought the
wasn't a
snake
big
clowns were
fan
pretty
of
funny.
snake clowns.
I thought it was
Yeah,
alright.
I like that part.
Hashtag spoilers.
I think one thing for me is that
That's in all the
it's not a
trailers.
bad thing. I mean, it's a pretty good thing, but it was just so funny. Like there
not
were
a
so
bad
many
thing?
jokes that like by the end of it, like going home, I was like, man, I forgot like half the lines in this movie just because there was too
Exactly.
many funny
that
moments.
was also something I realized when I came back. I was like, actually, it was so funny. I literally forgot the funniest parts of the first half.
The
They
funniest
say
part.
it warrants a second viewing for multiple
I'm
reasons.
going tonight. I'm going
Number
tonight with
one
all my
being
friends.
to catch the probable, possible BIONICLE reference. That is
Yeah, a lot of
supposedly
people
been
said that, but
pointed out.
I looked for it because
Yeah, apparently
the
it
first
wasn't
time
as
I watched
blatant
the
as it
movie
was
I
in the
knew
Lego
before.
movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I did not
Nope.
see it. I looked for it so hard, and it was
From what
just
people
nowhere.
say, there is a movie marquee that supposedly has the name Bionicle on it alongside other Lego themes. Like, Invi claims that he saw Ninjago. The dude on Reddit says he saw Bionicle. So it's probable to me that it's like, oh, now showing movies for like their story-driven themes, and there's probably like one or two more on there too, but it flashes by really quickly.
BIONICLE
Hey,
G3 confirmed.
speaking real quick about Ninjago though, because I mentioned this on the coverage, which you should totally check out if you watch a Lego Batman movie. We have a coverage up on our channel, the Lego Batman movie coverage. Go check it out.
Spoiler-free and spoiler section.
Spoiler-free and spoiler sections. Yeah.
Can I
so
say something
even if
about
you haven't,
Ninjago
you can
though,
watch
just real quick? Was that
Well, I was going to say something about Ninjago real quick, but sure.
thought that
Now
was
I
the
want to
first-
No, I want to say something about Ninjago.
I'm gonna say something about Ninjago.
Can I say something about Ninjago?
Ninjago.
Kahi first,
Ninjago.
then me, then LJ.
Okay, so basically, I sat next to a bunch of high schoolers at the movie premiere. There's like a whole thing, and I just had a seat, and there's this
Okay,
whole
so the one
like,
thing
high
you were
school
going to
group
say
that
is
came
something
out.
you've already said before. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, they were super stoked for the Ninjago movie, which surprised me. wasn't expecting that, especially from like that age group, which I guess is like the age of kids that grew up with Ninjago. So I was just thinking, but it was just really cool that like they recognized the theme and they were all excited to go see it. I was the only trailer again that all the jokes landed on. Every other kids movie trailer that showed before the Lego Batman movie was bombed with that crowd. They weren't really
Yep.
having it.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Stupid boss.
The previews
baby, man.
really made me realize how bad other animated movies actually
I
are.
forgot like stupid movies that are coming out too. I only was just remembered like reminded of the Nut Job 2, which looks
Those are the
terrible.
first one?
Dude, aren't you hyped for the Smurfs 3 and the
Oh,
Despicable
man.
Me like 72?
Oh, the Despicable
Well, I
Me.
actually like
That actually
Despicable
looked pretty
Me.
good.
That one
but-
actually okay. That was another one. At the very end, people started laughing at that one. I'm
Wait.
glad they kind of
Wait,
cut
which
out
one
the
now?
Despicable
Prpl.
Me 3 trailer.
I didn't know there was
Prpl,
gonna
you
be a
like
third one.
Despicable Me?
Yeah, I like
dude,
it.
those
Well,
are one of my favorite. Those are some of
In
my
that
favorite
case,
movies.
Despicable You.
Wow.
The
you almost
one
stopped there, didn't
gem
you?
that was Rock Dog.
Oh, LJ, you're
Rock
just like
Dog
those trailers.
is
The jokes didn't land.
garbage.
They landed. They just crash landed.
Nah, that was funny.
No, but
So-
yeah, anybody who goes to see the Batman movie, keep an eye out for the marquee in the first 10 minutes.
What's
In
a
the
marquee?
poster, movie poster.
So
Like,
when
yeah,
I
or like-
when I watched the
Why can't you people just say that? Why you gotta like? Oh, what is an alternate?
'Cause that's what
way
it's
of saying
called!
movie poster?
How dare
It's
we
a
use the
normal
definition?
thing, man.
Just
It's a
because you
regular
don't know
word.
freaking
I can say it a
English
lot
or
smarter.
didn't take any vocabulary
Yeah.
classes.
Oh,
all
no, man.
banners
That's
on the top of like a
racist.
theater where they're
Is
like now
marquee
showing.
even an English
Probably
word?
not.
It's.
But
I mean,
it's
it's
probably
used.
is any word in English really
Shut
an
up.
English word?
no,
Is
Technically,
English
it's
English
really
Germanic.
even
It's-
English,
it's a
or is it just dumb Latin?
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, relative to Pig Latin.
I mean,
English
essentially,
is a
it's dumb Latin
language.
with some other words just like pulled in. You know, kindergarten isn't an English word, but we all know what that means.
Yeah.
It's not?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
planting
German word.
Kids in a garden.
Yeah, kindergarten, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah.
Also, you just offended our German audience.
sound-
Congratulations.
Goodbye,
Racist,
German
yeah.
audience.
For Germany.
Dude, I'm Scandinavian, so I'm part of like
Oh,
the
boy.
Germanic language tree, so I'm basically German, so...
Hey,
you know.
okay,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
can say that.
That's like me saying, "Man, I'm American. I'm all the races
Yeah,
that are
I'm
in
basically
America."
Mexican.
No, you guys like just messed up everything. Basically, that's all you
I'm
guys
basically like Chinese, Mexican, black. You can call me Blexican.
Blexicanese.
We're going too far.
All right.
did. I thought that was going to be a
TV
rap.
to the 34
Blexicanese, the new race.
So I
Great.
gotta say, if there is actually Bionicle, reference in the Lego Batman movie, I'm really liking this trend. If this is a thing, this trend of Bionicle references in the Lego films.
It's all
Yeah,
building to
really,
something.
really.
And
Illuminati.
then
No,
you
no,
guys,
it's not.
You
No,
guys
it's
just
not.
need to drop Bionicle already. It's like the bad ex-girlfriend.
All it
that
ever does is hurt us.
The Bat ex-girlfriend.
dude, she was really nice.
She was nice
She
for
was
like
nice
2
for
months.
a time, but it's over now. You gotta move on.
No, listen. Just
There's
because we
plenty
had
of
our
other
heart
fish in
broken
the
twice doesn't mean the third time can't be the charm.
My God.
Sound relationship advice right there.
I know, right? Anyway, let's talk about Bionicle G3, guys.
Speaking of things that are ending. Yeah, watch it, buddy. Speaking of things that are ending, our Bionicle, Brickonicle contest is over at the time of the release of this podcast.
Ripperoni.
The entry period for the contest is over. We will be announcing winners shortly. We love everything. Oh my god.
You did
It was
good,
such
guys.
a good
You,
contest. I
lot of
did
good-
not think we'd have
really
the
good
reach that we would
contest.
as far as contests are concerned, but like there's a lot of entries, like a lot, and a lot of really good ones.
If any
the
of you
overs-
ever were like, man, I've kind of wasted my time, I don't know if I really should have entered this, it took a while to make, know that each and every one of your entries is responsible for revitalizing my faith in the Bionicle brand. You did that. You made me realize how good it
You
could
and
be.
you
You
alone.
did that.
So I appreciate it,
That's
just
right.
on a personal
You-
level.
You made Bionicle great again.
You
guys.
smart.
Oh my God.
You
You brought
loyal.
Bionicle
Loyal.
back.
I appreciate
you.
Man,
All right.
no, it is absolutely outstanding. We got a lot of entries. I can't say the total tally, but we will announce the winners shortly, and we're really excited.
Just in the ballpark, like, how many do we have currently? Right before
Like
At
zillions.
the
Around
time of this
70,
recording,
right?
it's over 70.
it's over 70.
It's
right.
over
That is
70.
great. I'm hoping that I'm wondering if there's gonna be any last minute entries.
There might
before,
be.
because we're recording this. It's still kind of
One
open,
of our
so.
live studio audience members, it's me, KLC, is working on his entry right now.
So yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I'm super excited.
There you
I
go,
liked his
man.
first entry. I can't wait.
Yeah, KLC.
Yeah, quit picking favorites.
Got
Not
it.
done yet.
I'm sorry. Listen, he left us a really nice letter at Brick Fair, and I have it.
He did.
So I kind of have to. I like
Was
him.
it a double?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I like him too.
Cute.
He's a cool dude. Like took
He's
a
a
selfie
cool
and
dude.
everything.
That's the lesson
yeah.
to all of you. If you bribe us with handwritten letters, we'll talk about your mom.
Yeah, apparently so.
Can the next contest be like make the best Paraka rap? Is that?
No,
Let's do it.
absolutely not.
I love
no.
Paraka rap, man.
April Fool's Day 2017.
I still need to do
No
top 10
spoilers.
Bionicle pickup lines.
Yo, Paraka.
Paraka, go a Paraka.
Yo,
Meso, you
Paraka,
finally found
Raka,
someone who
Laka,
like
Basasta.
was a Bionicle
Oh, yeah, last
fan
night we
from
were
last
watching
night.
it.
Yeah, we did.
It
We
has
finally
become
found
a
him.
trend of mine every Overwatch match we play to type the words Yo Paraka and by John's suggestion, I am the seventh Toa into the chat in the hopes of finding someone who will recognize those Bionicle phrases. And last night it finally happened thanks to the word Toa.
Hey.
Because we had to like mention Bionicle.
Well, to be fair, someone's like, Master said, I am the seventh Toa, and someone said, you're the seventh toe? And I was like, nah, like the Bionicles. And then someone's like, OMG.
yeah, true.
Bionicles.
Honestly,
Bionicle.
Meso, occasionally you throw in Insane Bionicle Brain. I think you should just do that.
Insane
'cause that's a lot
Bionicle
more
brain.
recognizable than.
That's true.
Same
But, like,
without a brain.
Well, no, here's
wanna-
the thing. Insane
wanna
Bionicle
build-
Brain is not really recognized by the,
Yeah, but they'll
the larger
recognize the
fandom.
word.
to be
Yeah, it's
fair.
just the fact that Bionicles.
I like to start
That's true,
small
though.
and work my way up and see like how devoted of a fan.
If you really want to get them, you gotta say, was it Gathered Friends? This is the tale of Bionicle or something.
Oh, that's
like
a good
that.
one. That's a
Gather
good one.
around for another tale.
Sounds like
of
the start of a
Bionicle.
rap.
Bonkles.
Anyway, he
Oh
seemed interested in our
man!
YouTube.
Oh man!
This is the
He
tale.
seemed interested in our YouTube channel and said he'd subscribe.
Gathered Friends. Yeah. No, this isn't the end. It's only the beginning.
Are we
The
letting him do
beginning
I
of
wish it
the
was
end.
the end. Holy
Yeah.
Hey, well, friends,
Gathered
this isn't the
friends.
end. It's only the beginning. The beginning.
Now
of the
this is
end.
the story all about how my island got turned upside down.
Underrated joke from Kahi right there. Hysterical laughter must ensue.
Thank you.
The island didn't get torn
It's-
upside
it
down.
was
It just got
actually-
torn apart.
Just
well,
like
I
my
mean,
heart, man.
it got
Kinda like
upside
we
down
did.
when
Spoiler
the
alert,
robot came
gosh.
through the island and ripped it apart. It kind of fell upside down because it got split apart.
It
and,
kind
like,
of
fell in the
slid to
ocean.
the side from the way the video looked.
I mean,
like-
you don't know what it did underwater, Takuma. It might have gone upside down. It's,
I
mean,
liked
it's like
it
when
floating
it was
in
an
water
island.
and
I don't
stuff.
know what a lot of things do underwater, but I'm not going to concern myself with it.
There's fish underwater.
There's more than fish, Prpl, actually. There's a lot of things.
There are dead people underwater.
Upside
Yeah.
down.
No spoilers.
Upside down. Stranger Things season 2 season hype.
Dude, don't mention Stranger
Maybe
Things.
one
It's-
day
Oh,
we'll
yeah, the
watch it.
Super Bowl happened. The
Oh, yeah,
Super
the
Bowl
Super
happened.
Bowl, yeah.
No one
Yeah.
cares about
Overtime in
those.
Super Bowl history. I actually.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
man.
insane,
that was
man.
That was an
Yay,
actually
sports ball.
entertaining
Get
game.
those points.
Yeah, like I mean, like throughout the entirety of the game, I was like, I wanted the. At first, I wanted the Falcons to win. Then I was like, you know what? I want the Patriots to tie it, so we go into overtime, and then the Falcons.
I have no obligation to any football team. I don't watch football at all, but I love a good comeback story. So when I heard it was
love
the
a
first
good
overtime
joke.
ever, I tuned in.
Yeah,
was
but
like,
they're the
oh,
people
man,
they
this is
didn't want to come
hilarious.
back.
This is rich. This is that's golden.
It's like the Patriots were just like, I mean, they were getting their butts kicked.
I feel
all
really
the way
bad
to next
for any
Sunday.
Falcons fan.
And
who
then
will now
Lady
be
then-
Gaga
disgraced
came up
forever.
and motivated
exactly.
everybody with her music.
Dude, the
Lady
army of
Gaga, like,
yeah.
Cast
army
a
of
spell.
drones is cool. Also, she like killed
Like
Oh, the
like,
drones?
killed herself at
Yeah.
the end too. That was funny.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, what?
The funny,
She's still
I think
alive.
the thing that I found hilarious is that she doesn't catch a football at the end. She just catches a ball. It's like she's at the Super Bowl and she's like, oh, she throws down the mic, she jumps, she grabs the ball, but it's not a football. It doesn't look
Yeah,
like
it
a
was like a
football to me.
soccer ball.
It was like a soccer
Yeah.
ball. I was like, why? What, boy?
Isn't
grabbed
it
football
is a
Well, I mean,
football.
technically, it's still a
No.
football. Yeah.
It was?
no, sure. I mean, but not in America.
Hashtag everywhere else in the world.
Hashtag get on our level, America.
I wish you were everywhere else in the world.
Hashtag
What do you mean,
we're-
our
What do you mean
level?
your level?
Our level, America? What?
Well, I mean, I'm half international, so it makes sense for me to use
Half
both footballs.
international.
TTV 234, half internet.
Every single country.
I am 100% international by that logic.
I'm 200% international.
I'm 300%
See, Prpl, this is what happens when you try to
international.
call out someone for saying something stupid. Everyone
I'm
starts.
just ice.
No, you just
everyone,
Yeah, the
everyone hates
stupidness
you
just
now.
like.
You know what?
Pile up.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
trying
at
to
this rate,
Your
contribute.
contribution
Yeah.
was
Earth
bad, and you should
is
feel
in
bad.
space.
I liked your contribution,
Aw.
Purple. I like
Thank
how
you,
you're
X.
here.
At least you're nice.
Thanks.
I mean, nice
think
when I
at this
want to
rate,
be.
now that Earth is in space and whatnot, I'm 100% extraterrestrial.
No,
Yeah.
You're
I'm
extra
nice. I'm nice
No.
when I want to be.
Because
it's like this is-
extra meaning without and terrestrial meaning terra meaning Earth. You would have to be from outside, not.
I'm just all right.
Theology all over again.
I'm just thinking.
Stop it.
Rip
You're
myself.
embarrassing Connie and Ben. Come on.
Takuma, what were you saying?
Definitely embarrassing Ben here.
Oh, sorry. I meant you, Invi.
Wait, why
Yeah,
me?
he just
Takuma
called you out for
finished
no
it.
reason, dude. It's okay.
Nah, that was a flub, Vin. I meant Invi. I'm sorry.
You're dumb.
Inventus.
Takuma, finish your thought.
Stop my thought.
Yeah.
I had.
It's not. It's listen.
I had
all
a
right.
thought.
Listen, it wasn't.
Oh, just me. No, it's just LJ. It's just stupid. It's just not worth it. Let's
Okay,
carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. I'm so glad we have you here to cry us a new Mississippi River. Just in time for Mardi Gras.
Indeed.
I like crying rivers.
Well, I think it's time to stop this
Steve.
muddled intro and go forth
Time to stop.
into the
No, it's
return
time
of
to
our
chill.
Bionicle G3 discussion segment. So,
Awesome. Time to talk even
as
less.
a bit of a recap,
Yeah.
last week we discussed kind of the rough beginnings of the story. We were like, okay, what could be Makuta's goal? What could be his methods?
I wasn't there.
What kind of, you were not. What kind of enemies should the Toa face? What should they be trying to do? And we came up with some rough ideas involving the Mask of Time and freezing the island in a time bubble of sorts. Like each village has to independently be freed. And in order to do that, they have to find the fragment of the Mask of Time, which was broken apart and hidden across the island by Makuta, so the Toa could not get their hands on it. And he placed each one of his elite Rahkshi guard members to guard the Mask of Time fragments.
They're called
So
elite
I
now?
got some changes. I got some changes to that. If you don't mind me going kind of
Sure.
talking about it for a sec. All right, cool. So this, I'm gonna pitch this to you guys as a bit of a change, because I was thinking about like originally the whole deal is that Makuta wants to raise the island, right? He wants to get rid of all the Matoran life on it.
Raise the roof.
I think it was behind the scenes where we kind of came up with the concept that like Ikimu or Madanui, I guess we haven't decided which one we're gonna go with, and Makuta, they both were in charge of creating stuff for the island, and Makuta created all the Rahi, and Ikimu created all the Matoran. And so like now Makuta's like, oh, you know what? I think that the Rahi were actually supposed to be here. Makuta's trying to get rid of Madanui's creation and put his own thing into action. He's kind of like mad at what the Matoran are doing to the island or whatever. So that was one thing where they're both kind of equals, and they both had a charge in creating the island, and now that's why Makuta's wanting to wipe out the Matoran. Second thing that I thought of is that harkening back to what we were talking about a really long time ago, we came up with the idea of the Brotherhood of Makuta being a cult, and this was like several years ago when we were talking about the last time we talked about redesigning Bionicle. And I was like, what if that was the origin of the Rahkshi, where instead of necessarily straight up being Makuta's lieutenants and doing everything, they were a bunch of Matoran in this kind of like secret cult thing that went, and they're communicating with Makuta, and they're kind of talking with his spirit or whatever, and he gives them vague instructions to do this, and so that's why they go through, they break the Mask of Time, they go through it, all the villages, they steal the masks of power or whatever from the shrine, and that's why those are gone as well. And so these Rahkshi that we talked about were half animal and half Matoran kind of hybrids. Because Makuta is all about the Rahi and everything, so like they're fused together with Rahi. They're like half Rahi now.
Okay.
Wait, you were talking?
Wow.
Was that the only change? That they're fused with like with animals?
No, that like Makuta didn't necessarily send them, but they're like they kind of got the they kind of got the idea from as the cult to do it, like to become the Rahkshi.
Can there be a seventh
Rahkshi?
No.
I mean,
like the Rahkshi are a cool concept. We could do like a lot of stuff just with that kind of thing because they're no longer meant to be clone sets. They're kind of like each one takes inspiration from a different creature of sorts. And I believe we actually have some sketches this week.
Yeah, actually, Ven did some. Me and Prpl did some concepts that we're going to show you guys.
In the chat right now.
All right, let's do that. All right, you guys ready?
Hey.
All right, Ven, I'm going to post yours. You can talk about this.
All right, sure.
I'm not
real
ready.
Briefly.
What up, your boy, Ben?
We found out animals or Rahi that we wanted each of the Rahkshi to kind of emulate. So.
Yep, and they're all minifigure creatures. Turok.
So yeah, I overheard these guys in call talking about the Rahkshi idea, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to like sketch out just like a quick little concept of how I would imagine Rahkshi minifigures to be. Originally, they were actually talking about each of the Rahkshi having mini builds, and I missed that, so I just drew them as like half minifigure, half whatever, hybrids. So that's why some of them will have like minifigure bodies but not legs. They'll have stuff like, for instance, Turok has spider legs. I don't even think I need to explain Panrak.
It's just such an amalgamation.
Panrak is my personal favorite because they were like, hey, let's make Panrak like a scorpion with wings or something like that. And I was like, dude, that sounds amazing. So I did that, and
the initial inspiration was like a sand bat kind of.
We were like Kurok should be a Yeti, so I gave Kurok a bigger body, kind of like
Axel.
What's his name?
Axel.
Yeah, Axel from Nexonites. And I gave Vorok a sort of pitchfork, or no, a trident. I guess I should say a pitchfork, whatever. A trident and a little sword to resemble a fork and a knife because he's the Rahkshi of hunger.
He's very hungry.
I can see it now vividly in my head in the Bionicle TV show. Vorok would be the one out of the 6 that's kind of slight comedic relief, just like chomping on a mutton chop or something, and, like cutting it up, like trying to eat people.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, and that's another thing.
We now have animals?
Yeah, sure.
We didn't pick like random animals. We tried to match these creatures with I guess not really the personality, but whatever the Rahkshi was based on. Like for instance, I said that Vorok was the Rahkshi of hunger. So Turok is the Rahkshi of fear. So we were like, what's scary? Spiders. Lirok was the Rahkshi of poison. So we were like, okay, snake. And, so on and so forth.
We might change that to Venom now, though.
Yeah.
Not you, Ven, but like actual Ven.
Kurok the Yeti, I was kind of thinking
sense.
Abominable snowman kind of thing, rampaging around, just angry, but that might
What's
be
the
changed.
difference?
We're talking about I also had a concept for the Wendigo
Wendigo ain't angry.
as well.
But yeah.
Oh, I mean, have you not seen Until Dawn?
Yeah, those Wendigos are pretty angry, dude.
That's true.
Yeah, but nah.
I'm not drawing the parallel between disintegration and Cthulhu.
There is none. That's the
Oh
fun
yeah,
There is
part.
none.
So some of them.
Some of them. Listen, the whole thing of the elements and stuff that might actually be changed because like they're holdovers from what the original Rahkshi were. They were just like, for me, I thought of like what would look cool in these Rahi form.
Yeah, we mostly drew inspiration from those attributes that the Rahkshi had. So, like some of them won't have it. Like obviously, Cthulhu has nothing to do with disintegration.
Gurak and Cthulhu is my fave. Cthulhu.
I guess this
Cthulhu is my
Scorpion
favorite.
doesn't really have much to do with what was Panrak's thing?
It was like
fragmentation.
Explosions.
Yeah.
It's fragmentation.
Fragmentation.
And
Explosions.
it works because he has a very fragmented design. Lots of
Oh,
creatures.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, aside from that, yeah, that's all I gotta say on that.
I love
Okay.
him to death because I had initially wanted, like, if you're talking Rahkshi, I would imagine kind of like Nexo Knights. They have like these buildable figures, kind of small scale mixel joints to like go up against the Toa, and that's kind of what I'd been thinking for the Rahkshi. But then I saw these minifigure designs, and I was like instantly in love.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy all of these. I love.
Yeah, no, I feel like one of the things for Cthulhu, or Cthulhu, as we decided to nickname it, came from the inspiration from the
Instant
art book,
meme.
the Bionicle art book. You know how one of the concepts for Umarak had him like with the tentacles on his face and everything, and we're like, that was like such a cool idea.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I also did some sketches as well, slightly based off
yeah.
Ben's
See 'em.
things, slightly based off. All right, so obviously enough. They're not as good as Ven's or Prpl's, but
Jet Indy
this
said
is
if Lego were
Okay,
actually
my
going to make
crap.
them based on
Either.
your concepts, I'd see Kurok and Vorak being
I
big
didn't
figs.
really put that much
So-
effort
and I'm
into
like,
mine.
nah, they should be Axel figs.
Dude, he looks
So,
so,
uh,
angry.
Turok is the first
He
one to
looks
show.
like something that's really small and cute trying to be angry.
Exactly.
No, dude, he's
That's
furious.
what minifigures are, man. But okay, so the one thing I wanted to keep in there is like the element of the skull kind of that the Rahkshi had. And I think like for the minifigure helmet there should be some included element of that no matter what you're
Most
When
notably
you're-
the
Wait.
teeth.
making it.
The teeth,
wait,
definitely.
What skull?
They're actually
Yeah, yeah.
headpiece.
The Rahkshi headpiece, you know how it's like
You
it
think
kind
that
of
looks like a
skull.
skull?
I mean, it's
The
a
Rahkshi
skull.
headpiece, kind
Might
of.
not look like
yeah.
a
It just looks like a
human
snake
Doesn't have to
head to
be
me.
I-
doesn't have to be
It
a
looks like
human
a skull
skull.
to me.
Yeah.
It does not look at all like a skull to me. It just looks like a regular old snake head.
Okay.
Are we
Well-
looking at the same
Snake head.
picture?
I'm not
It's
talking
like-
about the picture. I'm talking about the actual piece.
The Rahkshi.
Oh.
I never thought of them.
Yeah,
as
no,
being
I
skulls.
get that.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
sure
I mean
which
like
piece.
it's supposed to when I redrew it's supposed to emulate a skull, not the original Rahkshi piece.
Oh, the way you were talking, I thought you were saying, "Oh, you wanted to emulate the skull look of the original Rahkshi."
Because like every one of the Rahkshi, they would not use the same head mold, but they would have
Yeah.
commonalities shared between them to get that cohesion.
Right, and you can kind of see it with the my other concept, which is Cthulhu again.
Normal legs,
So it
I
has
see.
the same thing. Yeah, normal legs this time. So I actually went back and forth on like the Ursula legs.
It's a head crab zombie.
And I was like, man, I wonder what could go on with that. But
That looks cool.
So
I like it a lot.
essentially, yeah, both of these have like they have like on their armor they have like the Neva symbol.
So the Nuva symbol's a bad
And
symbol?
That's basically that's. The Neva symbol is supposed to be the symbol for the elements.
Okay.
Essentially, so
So-
I would in the idea that I had the Nuva symbol and like a lot of the masks are stored in these like shrines, right? Shrines, they're like almost like in this museum theme because no one can use Kanohi masks power in the same way. And so they go in, these cult members, they steal all the masks and they steal the Nuva symbols, and essentially that's how they power up their forms and merge themselves with these Rahkshi. And then so like in the future, the Toa will not only get the masks, they'll also get the Nuva symbols in the following year or something.
Here's a question from one of our live
Okay.
studio audience members, Ruffy Tufty.
Right.
Are they still being controlled by little slug dudes, Krata, or are they their own creature?
No. I
I
think
agree.
the
I would
Krata
imagine
are-
that the heads are the equivalent. Like you mentioned, head crab zombies. That's basically what those are.
Head crab.
They're not
I
controlling the
actually- like
Matoran,
Krana.
or they become fused with the Matoran.
Yeah, I would say that like it's just like the same personalities and stuff that these Matoran shine through.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what would make
Perhaps
them interesting
their
characters.
appearances could be like an effect of adapting to the environment that the Matoran lives in. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that would be important because again, one thing in Bionicle that the Rahkshi really failed in is that they all had the same personality. Borak had the same personality. Even the Barag, there are two of them. They're the Barag queens, and they had the same personality
The
too.
curse
So
of being clones.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly, so
That's what it really
we
boils
should-
down to.
I'm envisioning something almost kind of like the in 2004. You know how we had the Matoran that were like, supposed to be the chosen
Right.
one, and they were kind of like, right? And we had that whole back and forth going on with the actual Toa and them. So maybe the same thing would happen this way.
Awesome. All right. Let me see Purple's concept art. post
Oh, right.
Mine is like really crappy because I just like sketched it really
It's the
quick.
best one because you made it.
Everyone
horrible.
doing this thing, I said, it's really crappy because like we want to appear humble.
No, I actually think mine's crappy because I didn't
Yeah, I
even
mean, they're
finish
not
most
really
of them.
figures or anything. So.
Is that
Yeah,
one
no,
like a
that's-
That's
praying
true, but
mantis?
I like
Is the one at the top?
I like
General
the concepts of like what each thing would look like. The the one at the top right, which one is that?
The red one. I don't know any other
G-Rock.
names, but like,
Top right or top left?
Top right.
oh wait, now that's the. I actually don't remember. Which
You
one that
came
is.
prepared,
It's
I
the white, I
see.
think it's the white one.
You are
but-
useless.
I'd imagine
right
right.
Oh wait, no, that's the white one. Yeah, no,
G-Rock.
like
It is the white
listen,
one?
I wasn't expecting to like talk about
The
this yet. I
top,
was
top
gonna,
right
like,
is
say,
the
like,
Yeti.
I think
yeah,
they're
it's supposed to
really
be
cool.
like polar bear esque in a way, like very
Okay.
burly and stuff.
I've got a
the-
question.
What's up?
What?
You say you didn't finish them all. The one in the middle on top. I noticed it has no arms. Is that a specific choice, or is that one you didn't finish?
That's a choice.
Okay, 'cause I was gonna say I like it without the arms.
Which one had no arms?
Yeah,
In what, middle? With the wings, I'm assuming?
No, yeah. Who's
Yeah,
that
top
supposed to
middle.
be? Panrak?
The elephant. You
Uh,
I
mean?
think
the-
that's supposed to be Lee
the-
Rock.
yeah, the green one because it's like poison themed. I based it off of like those lizards that have like the frilly things that like, come
Oh,
out.
I like that a lot.
Gotcha.
Good idea.
Thank you.
It's a good one.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
The one directly next to it is the red one, and it's supposed to be based off of more of a centipede, I guess. Because centipedes are kind of creepy looking.
Centipedes
Oh.
are really creepy. Like
I like actually.
I'm
I'm
more creeped out by centipedes than spiders.
I like the design. I'm not sure how they work in the minifigure
Yeah, that's
kind
the
of
thing.
scale,
I have no
but
idea.
yeah, but like I do like that design a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't really designing these with minifigures in mind. It was just like, oh, what would they look like if I wanted them to look a certain way? And,
Right.
Yeah.
What they look
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in a movie.
Yeah. The one in like the middle left, I guess, is the brown one.
Pan
The scorpion.
It's like, yeah,
Panrak, yeah.
yeah, and like, well, I gave like the scorpion tail to Lirak instead, but Panrak has like more of the scorpion body, I guess, like with the 4 legs and like the arms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only one who
The one next to it,
got a fully
What?
spiked back like the Rahkshi of old. I see. That's neat.
yeah, I like those
I like the
spikes.
spine.
The one next to it is the black one who's like hunger and stuff, so I made it like sort of skeletal theme, so it's got like ribs and stuff. And its mouth is like the only one that's like open. 'Cause it's hungry and stuff.
Ah.
And the last one is the blue one. It's like fish themed and stuff. It has like a giant shark fin.
I
that's,
do like that a lot. What
beaten
if,
up and
what
stuff.
if Borak was like bulky? He was an Axel figure, but the printing was like bony, like rib cage. 'Cause he's emaciated. That'd be an interesting.
interesting,
like,
really
dual
cool.
one.
I would not
really
mind that.
cool.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
that would be
cool.
really cool.
I love rib cage patterns. So
Yeah.
I would think that like his entire armor and stuff
At
would
some
be
point,
more
I'm
skeletal
gonna try
in nature.
making,
Yeah.
like legitimate concept art, where that could kind of like the Bionicle art book, where like
Yeah.
some of it gets adapted into sets. So I'm just gonna like go at it.
That would be
and,
amazing, man.
Take a more purple like approach.
Purple like.
I think the only I do like. I think like as long as we have the concepts that people can build from, that's what's going to be important.
Yeah.
Because we're coming up with all this stuff, and like we need some visual stuff to back it up, which is why I've been drawing a little bit.
For sure, we've got a lot of ideas circulating. Now, let's see. What does everybody think of this direction we're going in? Specifically, the people that weren't around last week.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I'm thinking it's looking
Neo.
pretty cool. It's not exactly the direction I was imagining with Rahkshi, but I also wasn't really imagining a direction with Rahkshi, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think of Rahkshi whatsoever. I was just focusing, like when I think Bionicle and the Toa fighting things, they fight the habitat around them first.
I mean, these
Right
are
out
cool. I
the
mean, I
gate.
kind of like the idea of there being like, especially the Nuva symbol, just sort of being like a general like elemental symbol. So like it appears in both the Rahkshi or the Toa, with the landscape around. That's a neat idea. What was the story behind the Rahkshi again?
They're cult members essentially. They're trying to bring Makuta
Okay,
back
so they're
to
sentient
life.
then, right? They can think. And,
They are
okay.
sentient. They can think. They're actual Matoran.
They're
that were
Matoran,
kinda
okay.
converted into this.
So they were the
Yeah.
Matoran destined to be the
Well,
Toa
oh,
that
snap.
became Rahkshi instead, or
No,
okay.
no. Nah, they're just cult members who are
It's
like
like
who
the
really
back in Minog,
fanaticism.
there was supposed to be like a 7th tribe that worshipped Makuta.
So they're like Shin and his gang in Ninjago, then, right?
In a sense,
Okay.
yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
No, now we have to rewrite everything.
Real quick,
Stuff
though, I
can be
must say,
similar.
There's nothing
while I
new under
like
the sun.
the idea of making the Nuva symbols more general, not in favor of them being on the Rahkshi, because if the concept of the Rahkshi having elements separate from the main 6 is kept, then it would be conflicting.
That's a good point. It's
That is a good
weird
point.
for the
And
Rahkshi of air,
I don't
or the Rahkshi
know.
of poison to have the symbol of air on them.
Right, exactly.
And I really do want to keep those, unique elements, poison and
Well, it's
anger
because I
and
really
fear,
like the
because
concept
Didn't
of
the
the
Rahkshi have
Rahkshi.
their own symbols? Or am I just
Rahkshi, I believe they
misremembering?
did.
They
the
might.
Rahkshi had
That'd
a
be cool.
general
They had a
symbol, but they did not have individual
Yeah.
symbols.
Yeah, they had that
Yeah,
spine
yeah,
symbol.
Yeah, I remember
You know,
that.
like the upside down question mark.
Their symbols
I thought
were
that
the
was for
staff pieces.
Kratos.
No, it's for the
Maybe
Rahkshi.
so.
Same thing.
Same, they're interchangeable. in a sense.
Yeah, same general
That one, yeah.
idea.
I mean, it's literally a picture of a Krata, but
Right, yeah.
With spines and the Rahkshi head. So
Also,
it's meant to
Krata.
be both.
I mean,
Krata. Isn't it Krata?
aren't the Rahkshi
Krata.
just Krata and like robot bodies? Okay, so
They
it's the
are.
same thing.
yeah,
correct.
so it's kind of a
They're Krata
semantics.
within Krata.
Either way, I
Yeah,
like the
basically.
concept of the
Krata with
Rahkshi
a
too
dead
much to
Krata.
ditch it after 6. It'd be cool, like, because we need more adversaries. There's always a ton of different minifigures for the Toa to fight in sets. We could always have more Rahkshi come along with cool, varied designs, you know?
Dude, Rahkshi is such a cool name.
It
Like,
is.
I'm just like thinking about it. I'm like, wow. Whoever thought of that, like, you deserve all the cookies in the world. or
mad
something.
props.
I think the main
just
thing we do
sounds
have to
so
figure
sick.
out is,
Rahkshi.
like, when
Okay.
when we're approaching from a set design perspective, having the Rahkshi be the first, like, minifigure scale enemies is cool. We do need larger constructs, and I'm curious as to where the Rahkshi fit into the concept of brick-built Rahi, like Manas, Nui Rama, Nui
Well, okay, so
Jaga,
the idea
Taratara.
is that like eventually Makuta is trying to get them to like kind of summon these Rahi to destroy the
eventually,
village as
but
well.
not
as
during the first year.
Actually, I would say during the first year. That's like during the thing. But like the when I say eventually, it's because like if you remember the idea the like kind of placeholder plot we had was that the Toa were going like the entire island was frozen. The Toa were going from island to island, kind of like working in and on freezing each piece of the island. So the reason why the Rahkshi are working on getting these Rahi out to destroy these villages, but it's not immediate, which is why while they're unfreezing the fire village, the Rahkshi aren't going to the ice village and completely wiping that out while they're still making their way down there.
So the first wave of
It's taking
sets
some time.
conceivably would mainly be location focused, and it would be
Would be
Toa
location
versus
focus, Rahkshi
Rahkshi.
and the location. Yeah.
All right, and no vehicles,
Possibly.
no brick-built creatures, no nothing. And then the second wave would
Not no.
introduce
Second
brick-built
wave
creatures.
could have some vehicles, possibly. We could do like a Honda Boxstar thing to fight the Rahi, but it wouldn't be necessarily based around having Rahi.
Yeah, and then Rahkshi would
Brick-built
act as
Rahi,
like
etc.
beast tamers, a la like the the elite Nexo Knights villain minifigures, kind of a sense, where they like control the horde of creatures and the bigger
Mm-hmm.
entities, in a sense.
Borok.
I mean, yeah, use Borok later.
Bo Rahkshi.
Borok.
There you go. What if just like the whole idea behind it is like the Rahkshi are leading the Borok?
Well, okay, so
quote.
here's something I was thinking about the Borok. Spitting this idea out because I gave some instruction to Prpl to draw something the other day, and I was like, what if? So the Borok are supposed to be these things that kind of cleanse the earth, right? They're part of that whole deal. So and that fits in what we're doing of Makuta, where Makuta wants to cleanse the island, and so did the Borok. So what if the Borok were not like the Borok before they were a swarm? But what if they weren't a swarm? What if they were more like these kind of like more gigantic Rahi-like things that
So
were
you're
supposed
basically
to
making the Borok the 01 Rahi.
essentially, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not in favor.
Yeah.
Same.
Right? Why not?
Maybe if they were something like a colossus-sized lumbering giant that was slowly.
That's the
Well, it's
that's
because
the
like
idea.
I feel like Rahi
They're like huge, gigantic.
I basically feel
monsters
that
and
it's a
kind
matter
thing.
of naming, and I feel like Rai is good enough. Borak can be used for something else.
Yeah, no, here's my issue with it. You're introducing the Borak as these entities that need to cleanse whatever island we're on. And you're only introducing them as singularities. Just one per element, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to make them absolutely destructive. Just either massive or incredibly powerful, to the point where the Toa would not be able to feasibly stand up against one of them on their own.
Right.
That seems a little unusual, because then you have to have every single Toa go to every single region and fight them all at once. And again, they're still incredibly powerful, strong enough to decimate or obliterate entire regions all on their own. One Toa would not be able to stand up against them.
Okay, no,
So
that's actually a good idea.
Divvies it up
What
in a
if
way
we-
where
what if we did-
with Exo-Toa suits? Vehicle sets that aren't
What we
vehicles.
could
even
also
then,
do-
the Exo-Toa armor
that-
would have to be incredibly powerful.
I'm thinking of here's what I'm thinking
Let's
of
just
actually.
go all Pacific Rim on this. The Borak are basically kaiju, and they have to get their Jaegers.
Well, like I feel like all right. So what if I think what you're right, LJ, is that like having 6 of these unstoppable giant monsters is already kind of too much, especially for a year. But what if we kind of tied in use the concept of the Barad Queens, right? And maybe we can go back to having the Borak be the swarm or something. But like the actual, just the concept of having maybe 2 of these gigantic, colossal like beings that are gonna, giant Rahi, they're gonna kill the thing, and those are the two Barad queens, and maybe they're lumbering towards they're gonna unite and they're doing everything, and the Toa are trying to
2
stop
of them, maybe.
I mean,
Two of them.
Maybe I can
It fits
see
in
it
with
as
previous.
though-
It's a homage to previous canon, and it actually
that works.
fits
And
in
if
what
we're
you're saying.
insistent upon using the Borak and the Rahkshi in year 1, we totally
Maybe not
could
year
do
1.
that. I still think we're perfectly serviceable using a 1 Rahkshi.
Essentially, like here's what we're doing.
I
We're
agree.
coming up with like a story that can neatly fit into 3 parts.
Exactly.
Essentially, so
Ideally,
we can
here's how I would
have
do
that.
it. I would do
that all happen in year 2.
Ideally, I would do Rahkshi year 1, Rahi year 2, Borak year 3. That's ideally how I would
That
do
sounds
it,
fine.
to space it out. And have
Sounds
all
good to
the
me.
original antagonists. It's just the trick is finding a story reason and also finding viability in the sets. Like, if the Rahi aren't going to be around until year 2, then what are the sets going to be like for year 1?
Oh.
That's kind of the problem I'm running up
Right.
against, because for me, intrinsically, up until now, when I've thought of System Bionicle, it's almost, the whole thing we discussed was brick-built landscapes with small brick-built creatures. And if we're not having the brick-built creatures, since the Rahkshi are minifigures, then we lose a lot of that potential for year 1.
I think the Rahi should be in year
All right.
1.
Yeah.
I am
I
not going to
honestly
disagree
kind
with
of
you.
agree.
I feel like that's good. My whole thing was coming up with the story reason to have the Rahi.
Totally.
Uh,
So important.
I mean,
So
if,
that's my thing. I think
if the Rahi are just
I would
beasts
think that like that would
and
be the
creatures
2
within
ways.
the island, you don't really need a story reason to have them included. They're just animals.
That have been mind controlled by Makuta infected masks. Formula War.
Yeah.
Right, but like, all right. So in the concept we're talking about, as you're going around freezing the islands, why aren't the other islands completely destroyed by the time the Toa get there? Because the Rahi, like, sure, they're able to get to like maybe the Fire Village, and they unfreeze it before the Rahi get there, and they're like, yay!
For the
But in the
Rahi
meantime, the Rahi
or
are
the
just
Rahkshi?
Rahi,
Okay.
right? Because we're
Because
talking
they're
about
just
Rahi.
Rahi.
Yeah, because they're
It's
just
like
Rahi.
a
They're
bunch of
mindless.
dogs coming over to my house.
Right. They're just like a swarm of animals just coming. So like they're able to see one village, but the Rahi would have like also just run over the other villages before they could get to them in time.
Well, not necessarily. They're just like we were saying. They're just
Yeah,
animals.
I don't.
So a village can fend off against animals. They're a problem, and eventually,
Right, but the
torn
villages are frozen.
might get overrun.
Because of the Mask
But-
of Time.
Yeah, why aren't the Rahi
frozen too?
I thought that I would assume the Rahi are frozen too.
And see, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is what if what if it's kind of a race to
Yeah, I
unfreeze
thought
the villages before all the Rahi are unfrozen?
I thought our villain for year 1 was the Rahkshi, right? Not the Rahi. The
Yeah.
Rahi are just like participants, just as much as the villages and the
Right,
Torn
right.
are.
Maybe that's something. So the Rahkshi would still be year 1.
Who just left?
No,
the
I'm
call and
thinking.
gave
I'm
up?
thinking about it.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it.
Here's
because
an
like
idea.
it's okay.
Maybe
okay.
the
Well,
Rahkshi
yeah,
are still year 1. They're freezing the islands. They're doing all that jazz. At the end of the year, Toa unfreeze the islands, and now they have a sudden Rahi problem, and that's the next issue because while the islands are frozen, all the Rahi were kind of kept in stasis.
Right. Okay. So
But
what if
now they
what
have
if we
this
made
massive issue where they're the next threat?
so they froze the island in order to get all the actual like like I said before the Mass and Neva symbols, and that's the only reason that island is currently the villages are frozen in the meantime. And so once they're unfrozen, then the Rahi start attacking, and then it's supposed to lead up. Makuta is trying to bring back the stuff with the borrowed coins and everything. And sure.
Yeah. So in solving one issue, they accidentally cause another.
The same is true for us. Because now, if the Rahi are not awoken until the villages are unfrozen, what are the sets?
The sets are what we said before. They are they're either a location with a Toa and Rahkshi, or there are a very small location with Toa and Rahi, or they're like 3 of them. So Rahi. What?
Rahi are frozen story-wise, but not the sets
in
aren't
story-wise.
frozen.
Not doesn't the Rahkshi are still going to face them.
There's nothing to say. Honestly, I'm still in favor of mechs and stuff.
I mean, I don't
think
think they're mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Yeah.
Let's walk this through again. I feel we're on 2 different wavelengths. In year 1, the islands are frozen in time. The Rahi are normal creatures on the island. They are also frozen.
Yes.
The Toa's job is to go around, fight the Rahkshi, unfreeze the island.
Yes.
Who fights who in the sets? Because the sets represent the conflict of the story.
Yes.
Right, Toa versus Rahi and Rahkshi.
Well, I don't think the
Rahi are not combatants.
No, the Rahi are animals. They're active participants in whatever they're being involved in. The Rahi don't necessarily have to be bad or good. They're third parties. So in this instance, we can have conflicts within sets where the Toa are utilizing the Rahi to fight the Rahkshi, and vice versa, where the Rahkshi are utilizing the Rahi to fight the Toa.
You can in year 1 because they're frozen.
What? Why? No,
why
because
not?
they're unfreezing islands. That's the story. So the set doesn't. Are you expecting the set to represent a frozen island where there are no participants except for the Toa and the Rahkshi?
I mean, that's kind of the question I'm asking.
No.
The sets represent the conflict of the story. You buy the set and you play out the story. If you're buying all the sets after the story's been resolved...
No. We're not...
The Toa are fighting the Rahkshi to unfreeze the island. But now they're fighting the Rahkshi after the village has already been unfrozen.
No, that's... that's the battle. That's what they're fighting.
That's the battle.
Exactly.
So they complete their task and then they fight. Not fight to complete
It's just like how in the box, when the task is to get a mask, there's a mask right there in the center and they're both fighting over it.
Yeah, so you can actually see the beginning battle and then end of the conflict.
Right. Well, yeah.
In this set, you only see the end of the conflict.
What?
I see.
Okay.
I don't.
I mean, I've been following Meso this whole time. I literally don't know what everyone else's problem is.
I mean, like, I get what point you're trying to make. I just don't see how it's a problem.
Yeah. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that, like, what you're saying is wrong. I'm saying that, like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is it actually, like...
Why does it matter it's the end of the conflict? It's a set.
It's intrinsic to how stories told and represented in sets.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Year 1 is Rahkshi, year 2 is Rahi, right?
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay, so I missed something somewhere along the way.
Yeah, so did I. Wait, what?
So you haven't been following.
Yeah, apparently so. we added the Rahi back to year 1.
I could have sworn it was said several... Okay, I missed that change.
It's meandering a little bit in circle.
Yeah.
Because we did mention that at the end of the year the Rahi were unfrozen and then they started to attack the Toa.
Yeah. That was the thing.
I thought that was the whole hook. Is year 1 is Toa versus Rahkshi. They complete their task by unfreezing the islands, but that also unfroze all the Rahi, and that's where our second conflict, year 2, came from.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
then
in that
fix
case, it is year one.
Well, no, that's how it was
Too
originally
rocky.
until Meso and Vi were talking about how they wanted the Rahi
Right.
to be in the first wave of sets.
That's
the
why
only
that's
reason
why
we're
that
discussing
changed.
this right
That's
now.
when that.
Okay, whenever
Yeah,
that
that's when that
came
changed.
through, I
let's
missed
work
it.
through this a little bit. So,
Okay.
how are the Toa having these fights? Let's say the islands are frozen. Do you have to be on the island to be frozen, or if somebody's outside the island and the island's frozen, can you walk into it unaffected,
Well,
or do you
okay.
walk into it and you're immediately frozen?
So, all right, yeah. Let's actually kind
I
of
kind of
talk
always
this thing
imagined
through.
it as the Toa weren't around when whatever happened. So then you think of it like an EMP going off. If an electric device is in the area, it gets shut down. But after it's gone
What
off, you
if-
bring in an electrical
Yeah.
device and it still works.
What if the
Not saying we literally
Well,
use an EMP.
in the original concept, it was because they didn't have elemental powers. That's why it was almost like the islands are put to sleep by the combination of the Mask of Time shadowing and also the like the Neva symbols, right? And so that everyone with that elemental power was completely taken out, but these six Toa, these six Matoran that don't
That
have
would-
any elemental powers are left.
Okay,
okay,
maybe
I see.
How did
I see.
how did the freezing of the villages play into the Rahkshi? What was their involvement with that? Is it like
The Rahkshi were the ones that made it happen.
They
with
instigated them
with
freezing.
the Rahi. They instigated the freezing.
Okay, I actually kind of see how that works. So so anyone with an elemental power, they get frozen
Right.
instantly. And
Right.
the reason the Rahkshi are immune to that is because they have natural powers that are opposite to the elements.
Exactly.
Similar to G1. Nice. You know, like fear is opposite to courage and so on and so forth. And courage is a fire thing, yada. And that's how they're able to interact with the Nuva symbols and instigate this freezing.
Right.
Now, at that rate, how are the Toa able to get
Well-
around this? Because they do intrinsically have elemental powers.
That's a good question because I'm not exactly sure how the Toa get here. That's a you question, Kai.
Let's see.
Because I'm not sure.
the-
Because are we still going by the idea that the Toa were Matoran? Okay.
Yep. That was a thing that
Yes.
was mentioned last week. The Toa were late.
Yeah, that's it. They don't
bloomers.
have any elemental
People
powers
who-
until they become Toa. That's how they survive
Right.
the freeze.
And they basically have the most hidden potential, but it manifested
Yeah.
itself in a non-existent
Their
way.
their powers
Okay,
their powers
so-
are dormant. So when the island freezes
Right.
and latches on or freezes all the elemental powers and the people with elemental powers, it doesn't affect them because their powers are dormant. But
And
what
then they're
it
called-
what
so
it
they
what it
become
could
a
do
Toa.
is actually activate their powers.
That's where I was going with that. So because they don't have any elemental powers now, the outlet that the Nuva symbols have to go through everyone is redirected, and it's redirected towards them, and that's why they have more. Obviously, the Toa have more power than any of the Matoran.
Okay, so
I've got a quick question.
What's up?
Okay.
Because it just seems like there's more about elements of the Mask of Time than time. Why is the Mask of Time differentiating between elements?
well, it's kind of like what they were saying. It's kind of a cross
It's-
between the Mask
it
of Time
seems-
and the Nuva symbols. So somehow they interact, and when they're both kind of knocked
so
out
like
of commission,
Nuva
channeling the
Right.
Nuva symbols through the Mask of Time or vice
Right, right.
versa.
The-
Which I would
everything in that
imagine
island's
would
made
be a
That's
to-
thing that
different.
could be done with all legendary masks.
That's different.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
The
so-
legendary mask. In fact, we could use that as a reason how the Toa upgrade year after year after year is that they, whatever new legendary mask that they have upgrades them via the,
They
the
download
new-
patches
In
and
a sense,
expansions.
yeah.
In a sense, yeah. Sure.
So the only 6 Matoran on the island, they are the Toa, Tahu, Kopaka.
Yes,
you
the only
saw,
ones that
right?
aren't
Yep.
frozen.
yes, assuming we're having
Okay.
6.
And
Yeah.
so then they kind of go. They have a Takua roll in the beginning. They unfreeze everything, and after that, they become Toa.
No, they become Toa as soon.
I think they come Toa
yeah,
as
become
soon
Toa
as,
as
right.
soon as the island is frozen. They've got dormant
I like
elemental.
to think it's
Okay.
kind of a G2
But
scenario
then
when times are dark
what's-
and all hope seems lost.
But-
Call
Yeah.
upon
But they still don't have.
No,
any
they do have powers after the mask
No,
is
they do
activated.
have
The-
powers.
Fate rarely calls upon us at a moment of
The
truth.
thing that happens is the Toa are simply Matoran with dormant powers, so they're kind of outcast. That no one they don't have any powers that seem to manifest themselves at the time that this happens. So people think they're powerless entirely. The Mask of Time freezes the island. That event freezes everybody with powers, but since the Toa do have elemental powers that are just dormant inside their bodies, what actually happens is instead of being frozen by the Mask of Time, it activates their powers. It flips the switch.
Okay, but
so at that point, they change into Toa. So instead of being frozen, they actually become Toa.
And
Okay, but-
this is because of the
Yes.
Nuva symbols, which somehow, like, maybe they kind of send out a
Well, okay,
cry for help.
Here's what
and-
happens.
and
Yeah,
That's a
and the
great
way
idea.
start that.
we could say the Nuva
Like the
symbols
Mask of Life,
are
yeah.
like exactly like the Mask of Life, or like the Red Star, kind of. You know how the Red Star was able to, yeah.
Okay, and so then their cry for help is to kickstart their powers, and because it's such an unnatural way of turning them into Toa, they're immune to the effects of the time freeze.
Well, they're immune to the effects of the
then-
time freeze because they don't have any active powers when it happens. That's why that happens.
Okay, I see.
Right,
so anyone with elemental powers coming in afterwards,
fine.
they're fine.
Yeah,
They're fine.
And
I feel
it's
like
sort
it
of
is
like
also-
a pulse,
the aforementioned
yeah, an
EMP.
EMP that happens
Right.
around the island. So once it's passed,
Yeah,
it's over
like-
with. Now, theoretically,
But then-
here we go. Here could be part of the conflict here. Theoretically,
Okay.
if the Rahkshi were to get the pieces of the Mask of Time back and activate it again, then the Toa would be frozen. So,
Yeah.
if we're assuming that each piece of the Mask of Time is somewhere on or in each region by the Koros or whatever, what the Rahkshi's goal could be is to travel to the Koros to get the pieces. What the Toa's goal could be is to travel to the Koros and unfreeze the island. So that's where they're fighting over.
And so there's your natural conflict.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
And so
so-
they fight the Rahkshi there.
So, like kind of like how the Nuva symbols almost like they're this channeling thing for all of the elemental powers that everyone has, right? Everyone's frozen, so because of that, part of this cry for help involves because normally all their power goes and is dispersed around all the Matoran, and they kind of send it straight to the Toa, and that's how they're able to like. That's how activates their powers and also gives them the abilities beyond any other Matoran. Go on, Takuma.
So what I've been trying to say is my only problem with this kind of line of thinking is it gives us a good reason for why the Toa are unaffected, but I feel like we lose kind of the whole point of having the Matoran to Toa story because the conflict doesn't start until
we
that
do for the
becomes
first year,
irrelevant.
yes.
Wait, we do
We
what
do
for
not
the
have
first
a
year?
Toa Matoran relationship for the first year because the villages are frozen.
No, I mean I thought part of our, well, I don't know what I'm trying to call it. I thought part of the appeal of this new G3 was that we wouldn't start out with
We
Toa
wouldn't.
at the beginning. We would start out
Yes.
with.
No, yeah. The appeal
how
was
does
not
that
show
work
that.
if-
The appeal was that the Toa aren't aliens coming into the island and then suddenly have to interact.
Okay.
Like so they have
So
established
it
relationships.
was just a method of getting the Toa there. It wasn't meant to be like, oh, let's have the heroes start out as Matoran and eventually become Toa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Right,
then you're
exactly.
up to the risk
I
of
misunderstood
like, what kind
that.
of sets are you going to have and who are the protagonists,
Right.
et cetera. Can't introduce two casts of characters, etc. But because of this, like the story, we can have some scenes of them interacting with their friends or the village elders before the cataclysm happens to like plant those seeds, and then we can later
Right.
revisit the dynamics of okay, so now that I'm in this kind of a protector role, how does this change my relationship with my friends
Exactly.
and coworkers and stuff?
And if you're dedicated to
couple
the memory
questions.
loss idea, which I'm not, but if you did want to adapt to that, then simply the act of the Matoran becoming the Toa could erase their memories.
Yeah.
I could. I don't like that. I don't like that.
I'm not interested
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
not
memory
either, but I
loss
feel like there are
concept
people out
because
there that are. So
I like the motivation behind them. They're a part of the village.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
friends with everyone. They see all their friends and buddies
have a
and pals
personal
frozen.
stake.
I like
That's-
the
that's what
memory
made-
loss
yeah.
concept.
That drives
Now,
them
when
forward.
there's actually a mystery to be told, and there's not.
I did have an idea earlier that I was trying to kind of bridge into. That's why I was asking all these questions.
Cool.
So
Go
instead
for
of
it.
the Rahi being an active participant in year one, what you could do instead is have certain Rahi be participants in year one, and maybe the way to unfreeze each region is to awaken the creature of that region, and you could bring back the elemental creatures.
So that was my idea with the with what I was talking about the Borak, in which the Borak are kind of these elemental creatures. that kind of. But they were like way more ambiguous than the creatures in G2 were.
I think that's
like the creatures in G2 were always.
Well,
in
the thing is, I don't think you need to call them
the
Balrog
Toa.
in that case because that has nothing to do with Balrog. At that point, you're kind of just pandering G1.
Well, I mean, they were
pandering.
eventually like the whole deal is that like they were fighting together, and the Rahkshi were trying to convince the creatures to cleanse the island. All the Toa are trying to defend
Then
it.
just make them separate creatures. The Balrog are intrinsic with destruction. So if they're going to be elemental, they're not going to try and
there's no
destroy their
point in
own
using the
region.
name if you're not going to adapt that idea.
The Balrog
Okay,
also,
sure.
like, I know we're not going about, like, oh, we must adhere, like, the Rahkshi are already an adaptation, but the Balrog have a very specific connotation to them, a very specific set of rules, and a very distinctive appearance. So, if we were going to just reuse the name without any attributes of the characters themselves, wouldn't be worth it.
I feel like as long as they can turn into balls, we're good. But
I think that's the least interesting part of the Balrog. That does not need to be adapted.
really,
The
Yeah.
Balrog.
Balrog, yeah.
okay, all right. Well, let's see. So, all right, let's start thinking about what the correlation between the sets and the story at this
There is a
point. then.
question before we do that, though. Mask of Time,
okay.
you mentioned that it would be hidden in the Korras, or near the Korras. And the Rahkshi are going
it would
to
be.
get it.
I would so what I
Yes,
was
I
thinking
think
is that like what causes this, that causes the pulse is the Rahkshi kind of splintering
mask.
the mask of time.
Okay,
yeah.
so how did the
Into these six
how did the
pieces.
Rahkshi then get the splintered pieces to the Korra?
Well, what I'm thinking is the pulse kind of blows up the mask, and each piece just travels to each. Yeah, it flies to each region.
Right.
Kinda
It's
like-
drawn
it's got
to the
magnetism.
Nuva
Yeah.
symbol.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like because the pulse is
What if-
like the pulse is emulated through the Nuva symbols, so it kind of is drawn to them. You know.
What if it's just kind of like an intrinsic thing about legendary masks where it's like kind of almost a failsafe against abuse where every time it's used all the pieces separate and you just kind of teleport back to their original locations
That's a funny idea.
just to make sure it is an effort every time.
No,
'cause you
I
don't
like
want
that.
to just use
The more you abuse
Yeah.
You don't
a
wanna
legendary
use that
mask, it
power all the
cracks and
time.
begins to break.
Right. Exactly. So you can't
okay,
use it
I wasn't
too-
going
too
with that
much.
idea.
Oh.
I was just saying that it's an effort to use it. It's not just something people can use flippantly. It's like, this is an incredible power, so it's just kind of an innate thing about the mask that once it gets used, bam, all the pieces separate, it goes back.
okay.
It is going to be an entirely new effort to use it a
Every
second
time you use it, it breaks.
to
Okay.
discourage repeat use.
With great power comes great fetch questing.
I do not mind that, except like at the end, I was thinking about having enough like legendary masks for Toa to use
Yeah,
as like
well-
we were talking about them combining, and
I
that
mean,
would
but, like,
that would ruin that aspect.
Not
of it.
really. They would still have to collect the mask again and then bring them all together and then use them at one time to defeat the ultimate evil. And then after that point, the masks are gone once more.
Plus, if,
okay.
if we're still going with the one mask a year idea, that's something
That
we're
actually
be able to
works.
do until year 6. So, we got a ways to
I mean,
plan it.
I mean,
there's there's nothing to say we couldn't come up with some story reason why
Yeah,
they keep
it's-
it for
I
extended amount of
like
time.
it because
That's true.
it gives us a reason for those masks to no longer be like in use anymore. Like after we get this legendary mask, and at the end of the year, we move on to year 2, and there's not that question of, well, why aren't they just using the Mask of Time to beat Makuta? Well, it's because they did use it, and now it's been shattered again. So they would have to go out and actually find it once more. That's why they can't just use it.
Indeed.
Right. I'm down with that as long as we don't keep turning each year to like, oh, remember the fetch quest from the last year, you got to do that
Yeah,
again.
that's what I was just thinking.
Because like that's my least favorite part of Bionicle. I love it in 2001, but 2002 like and 2003 where they're like, oh hey, the
Like,
Nuva
I don't
mask.
No,
they're all
I
on,
think
you
the
gotta
fetch
get the
quest
reveal.
is actually pretty good for a Lego
Fetch questing
theme.
is
Yeah,
an important
I agree.
aspect of Lego
Yeah.
themes. To not have it would take
just-
away a lot of potential. It does not always have to be for masks or mask fragments, but
You
there,
just need a way to
Yeah,
mix
like,
up the
from a
formula.
there is
story-
usually
Yeah.
a MacGuffin of some sort.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like it doesn't have to be literally every year. Hey, go to the 6 different labyrinths to get the mask piece. You know, it
Like-
could be that they're being kept in some other place by some other means.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you
Okay.
can be a bit more creative
All
with
right.
it. I just think that I understand not wanting to do fetch quests in a story, but like for this kind of thing, I would imagine that you would want a fetch quest for a Lego line because it just gives you more collectible reason to actually get the sets.
All right, so we could do. All right, so here's what I'm thinking of now. Now we're talking about wanting the Rahi and the Rahkshi in too. do we want? So initially, like that we were talking about, like, are we wanting 2 waves basically, like a winter and a summer wave, like most LEGO themes?
I would assume so.
I would
Yes.
assume so.
Okay.
Unless
so
there's
in
gonna
this
be like
first
a summer
wave,
theme that starts off like with only one wave.
no, I mean what we could do is that like we could have. Because I'm thinking about like all the backstory and stuff that we're wanting to do with the Toa's interaction with the characters. We could have the whole thing of like the first half of the year is maybe them fighting off against the Rahi, and also setting up the whole cult thing, and the cult's going around, and also the Toa are also dealing with like a lot of stuff. And then in the later half of the year, that's when the Rahkshi come in the summer wave. And then that's where they become Toa once it hits summer. So we go through this whole expeditionary thing where we're talking about.
So
like,
we don't even have any Toa sets during winter.
That's a good point.
This is where our ideas are starting to conflict, because that's a really good plan for a story, not so good of a plan for a set. And I'm kind of having a lot of empathy with LEGO right now. You gotta make this stuff work for set design.
Exactly.
You gotta have cool
it's like
models.
okay. No. Listen, you're totally right. I didn't think about that.
I mean,
but I do think it's a shame. It's a shame to
it works
start.
if you introduce the creatures.
Okay, but okay, I guess like here's the thing. I want the Toa to be there at the start as well as you do, because we do need those minifigures. I also on the flip side want to explore some of that story before they become Toa. Because I feel like we start
comic or an online game that is a prequel.
I don't necessarily think you absolutely need the story
and the sets
to start off at the exact same point as the set. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can build up to the moment in the set. I don't think those need to necessarily be 1-to-1. I don't know. Was the Green Ninja ever introduced before it was revealed Lloyd was the Green Ninja in a set?
In minifigure form?
Yes.
No.
Prpl?
Not that I can remember.
Dude, I remember a lot of times where sets came out before the context behind them was.
Yeah, before the context was actually in
They always
the
got
story.
criticized before them for spoiling story events.
I mean,
yeah, but okay. I mean,
it's like seeing the cover of a book, though.
Right.
Right.
It's like if we see the Toa in a set in the winter wave, it's not like you're going to be like, whoa, spoilers, they become Toa. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like anyone's going to be
it's
them.
Also something to consider, like, about what media. Obviously, this will come way later, but like what media we would tell our story in, because G1 had a entire game that was a prequel to the 01.
I'm thinking there would be a TV show.
Tales from the Tahunga that was like
about
how the Toa got summoned.
I think a TV show would be great. I also actually do think that a game for like additional backstory would be also really fun. I don't know how much budget that would cost, of course, but just the concept, like right now, I'm
thinking either a game or a movie, or
yeah,
a TV show or a movie.
I think like a TV show could actually tell the main story, and then the game could tell like extended backstory if you wanted to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it could be, but
all right, we're probably gonna have to put the freeze in the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, just year. Like the actual. Yeah,
frozen like
week.
an EMP, man.
So, all right, real quick, one thing I want people to think about for next week, because we're kind of going through that. All right, let's think about next week. Let's think about like what we want the sets to be. Let's also start thinking about. We had a discussion beforehand. Do we want 5 elements? Do we want 6 elements? How many characters do we want? Who's going to be? How many ratio man to female? Last one is the villages and how they correlate to each other. Because I don't think they should all be friendly like they were in Modern New. I feel like there should actually be like
angry.
Some should be
there should
almost
be
angry with each other. Like they're all like almost like a. I mean, you know, like in Game of Thrones, how they have the different countries and there's all the like almost like this kind of political rift between some of them.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure you've already like come to this conclusion, but we're not reducing women to just in the Ga.
Oh yeah,
Koro,
yeah.
Right?
That is
such a stupid idea.
That is the stupidest thing, hands down, that's happened in Bionicle. Second to, or not second, like the second being romance. Both of those are just dumb ideas.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think romance was perfectly smart, but we'll get into that later.
Right. I don't think it was smart.
Romance is overrated.
I think that it is the option, taking the option away.
Quick, Meso.
Wow.
Killed it.
Kill the discussion, Meso.
Right.
End us, take us out.
What if a Toa was like an inherited power?
Passed down
from generations.
This is
Thank you for joining us.
Right. Now we
But
can
like the last time. But there's such a long stretch of time in between the last appearance of a Toa that no one knows what lineage it is or anything. So it's just I
want to figure out a way to combine some of the best aspects of G1 and G2. I like how.
Right.
I mean, I think we're doing a pretty good job here.
Yeah,
I like if the Toa the protector role, and
also I'll just we'll probably discuss this at length in the future, but I nominate the island to be Maranui and the deity to be Akimu. Just two separate names, not the same thing. Because that was the thing I thought G2 did. Akimu being placeholder, but just separate names. Anyway.
No, it's separate names for the being in the island is A-okay.
That is all for this week's episode of the TTV Podcast. We're really curious to hear all of our listeners' thoughts. X posted stuff in chat. X, okay, you gotta just read what you said for context.
Or you could just
Day is 872. Food is running low. All the horses are dead. Things are looking grim. Timmy has gone insane, so we had to tie him down.
No, not Timmy!
Rip little Timmy.
Turns out Timmy...
Oh, he just wanted to know he
couldn't
can
it be
find the
little
latest
Johnny?
recap reviews.
No, turns out Timmy is actually
Johnny.
just his inherited power is just starting to manifest itself. Turns out he's actually the Toe of Light.
Nice.
Nice.
Alright. Everybody, we're really curious to hear your thoughts on this. This is a developmental process as much as for us as I'm sure it is for you listening to it. So just give us feedback. What do you like? What do you not like? Why do you not like it? I already remember there were a few comments that I wanted to bring up that I completely forgot to, but next week we will address some viewer comments.
We will address that.
So shout out to you. I didn't forget you. Until then, we'll see you all next week on the TTV Podcast. And as always...
Fan art, man. If you guys got designs and want to see them too, you want to build on the Rahkshi idea or something.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'd love to see that.
And as always, every week, I would like to give a special thank you and shout out to one of our loyal Patreon subscribers who support us every week. This week, I'll be shouting out Krazix. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but awesome person. Awesome supporter of our content. You have my eternal thanks. Anyway, we'll see you all next week on the next episode of the TTV Podcast. I'm Meso.
I'm Ryder N.
I'm LJ.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Ven, and I have more concept art.
I'm Takuma Nuva, and I don't.
I'm Prpl, and I regret being here.
I'm Tenebrain
So
Vixen.
do I.
That's the greatest way to get fired right there.
Oh, and I'm XX Trooper. I don't regret being here, man. You know, it's all right.
234 of the TTV Podcast.
Another great way to get
It
fired.
was a good listen.
Adios, everybody.
See you later.
Nice, man. Oh, whoa, hold up. Wow.
Putting that in the video.
Nope.
Next
Next week.
Bye.
Next week.
Nope. Next week.
See you guys.
Next time, baby, is replaced by a different actor next time.